So here's the reason why I do not use fundamental analysis in my trading anymore. Back when I first started trading at the end of 2013, I learned price action, which is part of technical analysis. At the time, I was aware that there was also fundamental analysis, which is a different approach to trading. Now, because I did not have any background in economics at all, I decided to seek out this knowledge from other professionals. So after much research, I came across a service from Macro Business, which is based in Australia. They are a group of Australian economists, and their analysis is mainly focused on Australia, New Zealand, and Southeast Asia. So I became a paid member, and I enjoyed their analysis very much. I even incorporated some of their fundamental analysis into my trading in 2015. At this time, the Australian dollar was relatively high comparing to the US dollar, and this was the turnaround point where it began to go down. So what has happened is that I could see from fundamental analysis that the economists had predicted that the Australian dollar would drop against the US dollar in particular. My mind was blown because at that time I had thought that perhaps fundamental analysis is a leading indicator where large price movement could go. So I continue to follow them, and for much of 2015 that has remained true. Their prediction was that the Aussie USD would drop to the mid 70s and then the low 70s, and it did happen. So during that year, price action was actually late compared to fundamental analysis when it comes to predicting where Aussie USD would go. And then it stopped and something strange happened. Price action was showing that this pair couldn't fall anymore around about the 70 mark, 0.7, that's what I'm talking about. And the fundamental analysis hasn't changed. In fact, the economists on this side had become even more bearish on this pair, and they were very aggressive in their predictions. I remember reading one prediction showing that they were predicting Aussie USD to hit in the low 60s by the end of 2015 or early 2016, which at the time I found a little bit confusing, because on one hand you have fundamental data showing that this pair should continue to trend down and there is nothing to stop it from going down, but on the other hand my chart was showing that clearly the downtrend has stopped and it has come into a period of consolidation. So I was confused, but I continue along anyway. I did most of my trading based on price action, but I had always been keeping fundamental analysis at the back of my mind when I'm making the trades. And then the Aussie USD began to rise. It climbed from the 70s to the high 70s to the 80s, yet the fundamental analysis remained the same. So there was nothing to suggest that it should have gone up, but it did. And that got me even more confused. I had no idea what was going on. It should go down, but it isn't. In fact, it's going the opposite way. So after a while, I have come into my own conclusion that perhaps fundamental analysis, it could be true, but it's not an indication of how the market actually works. Meaning that buyers and sellers make their decisions not based on fundamental analysis, but perhaps based on something else. In the end, I stopped subscribing to the service. I still think it's a great service if you are there just to read. However, for me, I was looking at it as an advantage to my trading, and unfortunately, it didn't come out that way. That's the story of how I started looking at fundamental analysis, incorporated into my trading, and eventually stopped. This is my last trading video for this year. I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year for 2019. Thank you for watching my videos throughout this year, and I look forward to speaking to you again in 2019.